Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Port Tourism and Business Network, facilitated by ourselves here at Boffin Consultancy, the University College Cork, the University of Aberystwyth, and the Ireland Wales Fund, EU funding. And we're delighted to have this webinar. It's something I'm really looking forward to, have been for the last couple of weeks. This webinar this morning is all around collaboration. I'm now going to share the screen with you all, so do bear with me. Okay, so as I said, the Port Tourism Business Network is up and running, and I have to say the numbers are building every single month, which is lovely to see. And I am passionate about connecting people and encouraging positive collaboration. So today, this particular workshop is all about quality collaboration for growth. Right? That's why every one of us is in business. We are in business also because most of us love what we do. That's hugely important. I'm passionate about what I do and I love it, and I won't apologize for that any day of my life. But I also know that I need to earn a living and I need to generate revenue, and that's your livelihood. So it's all about, at the back of it all, that's what it's all about: quality collaboration for growth, how to develop the opportunities, how to connect, how to collaborate, and how to showcase in the best possible way. Anyone that works with us, and my colleague Jenny will testify to this, being grand is not enough in my world, right? I don't put pressure on anybody, but I always try to be a bit more innovative, be a bit more, you can really put your best foot forward in everything that you do, right? If you're being grand, that's okay too. But this is part of the process that we use when we're working with clients, right? Especially in the tourism sector, helping them to collaborate effectively. So again, just a really big reminder, a brief reminder of what's behind the Port Tourism and Business Network: supporting, engaging, diversifying, growing, community, working with your community, collaborating with others, and building something that is sustainable in a sustainable way. The focus today is to present an opportunity to help and support positive collaboration for greater growth and engagement, to help you engage with key decision makers. So the key decision makers that I'm speaking about this morning are the tour operators, the hoteliers, the bookers, those people that help footfall to come to your location. If they come to your location, there's your opportunity to bring them into your business. But you have to take the steps. It does not happen by magic, and it does take some work. And I put up there something that I'm often quoted on: progress and success are choices, and I urge you to choose them. I urge you to choose them. Okay. Sorry, there's something going wrong there now. Now, there we are. So we have some lovely faces there that we see from all the 5 ports. And we've got Donnie, and we have Liz, and we have Leo. And we've got a lot of familiar faces there. So this isn't just about one port, it's about 5 ports. I want you to remember something as well. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people, right? When people say to us here, fair play to you, Megs, well done, it's not just me, it's everybody else that works with me in my business and around my business, and other people's in the locality where we trade as well. It's about your location. Remember that. Look around you and look at your community, other businesses in the area, other people that you know, right? Local authorities, all right? And just step up and say, right, we're going to work together. Now, I know, coming from a corporate background and a commercial, and I trained in this sector, I trained in hotels, I trained as a hotel GM, right? So I know that sometimes when you're in those roles, it can become very much about what's in it for us all the time, right? And that's okay, because that's business. However, things are starting to change a little bit out there in the marketplace now. We are trading in a global marketplace. It is not just, you can't just look at what's in it for me all the time. You have to look and see, well, how can I be a bit more open to innovative thinking and a growth mindset? Okay. And here's another good figure. 1.03 million passengers travelled between the Irish and Welsh ports in 2021. We don't have the figures for 2022 as yet, but they're the figures that travelled between the Irish and Welsh ports in 2021. That's a big pie. Big pie. It's also a big opportunity for people. Okay. There's a big pie there, and there's enough of it. There's enough in it for everybody. Okay, so what we're going to look at today, we're going to look at quality collaboration, what it means, the benefits, the options, and the ROI. That's the return on the investment. Investment isn't all about money. There's also time investment and labor investment as well. Tourism bundling success stories, and we're going to have a lovely lady, Kathy, who I always smile when I think you, Kathy, because you have really nice energy. We worked with Kathy and a number of other businesses in the Kilkenny region here in Ireland. I think it was last year, Kathy, on bundling initiatives. And I particularly liked Kathy's bundle, and she's going to tell you about it. There was a lot of collaboration involved in it, and she knows all about fam trips, let me tell you as well. We're going to talk about structure and commitment. We're going to have Kathy on, as I said, and we're going to talk about fam trips, familiarization trips, the what, the why, and the how. What are they? Why do you do them? How do you do them? And what will you do next? And then we're going to look at exploring potential and identifying opportunities. Is everyone okay with that?
Yep. Welcome,
James. Nice to have you. Okay. What does quality collaboration look like, right? It's not something you can see or feel. You can feel it. Actually, when it happens, you can actually feel it. It's when people are sharing, they're supporting each other, they're assisting each other, they're exchanging ideas, they're exchanging information. There's a little bit of teamwork. There's a lot of trust, right? A lot of trust for it to work, and for it to work consistently. I've seen this done time and time again, where it's a quick flash in the pan and then, that's it. And if it doesn't work straight away, sure, would you do it at all, right? To me, that's not the right mindset. You've got to give a thing time. You've got to give a thing a season or two to find its rhythm and to build it and to tweak it. And once you get that done, then it's there for the long haul. And we're going to talk about some examples of that. The benefits in the ROI are very, very simple. And where is the return on the investment? Shared marketing exposure, strength in numbers. And what I mean by that is, when you've got more than one in the mix, you've got strength in numbers if you have the right mindset, new ideas. You develop the experience offer. And this is something that Kathy and I and a lot of other businesses in the Kilkenny region had to do. We had to do it for 3 regions in Kilkenny. Kathy was involved in one of the regions, but new ideas had to be brought to the table. And it wasn't easy, Kathy, I'm sure you'll agree with that, but it's worth it when you get something really juicy and really wholesome coming out of it, okay? And something a little bit different. People want more innovation. They want a unique offering now. They want something a bit more. I suppose we've gone back to basics a lot as well, and we'll talk about that. Then it's about building new connections. If you're going into a collaboration opportunity looking for immediate sale, forget about it. Just walk away from it. It's like when you go into a room to network. If you're going in there just to, right, if I don't get a sale, I'm gone. That's the wrong attitude to have. It's not the wrong attitude. It's okay if you're happy with that, but it's not going to work. It's not going to be beneficial in the long term. And it's about exploring your mindset. And I've seen this particularly in the current times. I see this where if someone has the right mindset, I was talking to my daughter about this actually, she's 12 years of age. And for those of you that are Welsh, we have a sport here called hurling. The female version of it is called camogie. And it's hard and fast, right? I love it. But I had a chat with her last night. She had a football league yesterday, and now she's got camogie this week. And she was saying, "Ma'am, I can't get over." She's a fear of certain things. And I said, "Freya, it's about the head. You've got the skill, but you've got to change how you think, pet. You've got to just think about it, break it down into simple pieces." And we had a good old chat with that. I had to buy her an ice cream in the mix of it, but that's all right. We offered that one up. But it's the same in business. If you have the right mindset, it's a game changer, right? So it's good. And, it's good to learn as well. It's a really good opportunity to learn when you collaborate. Okay, I want to remind you of the questions I sent. I don't know if James got them, but the questions I sent before we went on to this, when I announced this webinar, right? I want you to think about these throughout this, because by the end of it, we will be asking some questions. Who would you like to collaborate with? Now, I know some people did come back to me, i.e. what business types would you like to work with? And can you work with as well? And what fits? What would you like to collaborate on? You've got like 50 to 70K of ocean there between two sides of the water, lads. There's lots of opportunity. Okay, who are the key decision makers that you want to reach, who could possibly bring more footfall and business to your area? And I want you to think about that, right? Because it's not always the obvious candidates that you would automatically think are the key decision makers. Number 4, what do you think will engage more visitors to stay in your area, stay longer, and spend in your business? Okay, so there's a couple of things in the tourism sector, and a lot of us, if there's people here that aren't, if it's food and beverage, this all relates back to you. If you are relying on tourism traffic, this all relates back to you. Extending the time that they stay, extending the period of stay, extending what we call the shoulder periods, not my shoulder pads now, my shoulder periods. So, and increasing more accommodation nights, right? And finally, 5, what do you need to know how to do to commence or build upon quality collaboration in a positive and productive way? Okay, so they're the questions that I want you to think about. And I'll be repeating these further along as we go along, but I want you to think about them, because we're going to have an open discussion at the end about this. You can fire any questions at me as well. But the number 5 is pretty important. They all are, but number 5, what do you need to know how to do to commence or build upon quality collaboration in a positive and productive manner? All right. So I have these 4 lovely flags up here that I'm going to speak about really briefly. These are they represent 4 initiatives that we've worked on in terms of collaboration and encouraging collaboration and building package offerings that actually work and sell and increase footfall and give you good marketing exposure. This first one here is Tipperary, or as we say in Irish, Tibrodaran. Tipperary, my mom's county, I worked with them, it's about 6 or 7 years ago now. We had 60 businesses initially. It was broken down into 30 who really felt it was the right fit for them. And we built 3 packages that traveled to the States. There was a big marketing campaign. We worked with Tipperary Tourism, and we also worked with Enterprise Ireland. And all those businesses were SME businesses, small to medium-sized businesses. And we helped them structure the how-to piece. There was a marketing company brought in to help them, the marketing piece. Once we had executed the nuts and bolts of the how-to, we looked at the language that was to be used to communicate and the messaging. They were taken to the States and sold and marketed by Fáilte Ireland. And they're still, those same packages are still being used today. Okay, so that's just to give you a now these are very different. All these regions are very different. Okay, and then we've Kilkenny, and Kathy's here from Kilkenny, and we were approached by Kilkenny Tourism to work with Kilkenny businesses in 3 regions: Castlecomer, Graiguenamanagh, and I'm trying to remember, Kilkenny City, right? And again, 3 very, very different packages. The one that Kathy is going to speak about is really wholesome. Really very different packages. They were looking for something innovative and different and unique, right? To develop their offering that they already had. Okay. A lot of work, Kathy will agree, but it was worth it. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. Okay, and then this one down here, this is the Swedish flag. And I worked with a region in I worked in Stockholm. I was out there for 12 months and we worked with Enterprise Ireland. This is only back in 2015. And they have no tourism department at government level. They have no budget, so they have to fund themselves. So they're self-funding, they wash their own face. And we worked with businesses in Västerås and in the greater Västerlands region of Sweden. And we helped them to package themselves more efficiently, right? They had never had anyone come in to do that with them until we arrived in. Nobody. They didn't know where to go to do it, right? And it actually came about by accident through a conversation in the Enterprise Ireland offices in Stockholm, right? So that was huge. That was a game changer for them because I was able to teach them over a period of time different pieces, not just the bundling piece, but the packaging, how to speak about your business, how to map out your markets, how to map out your trading year, because it's a very different trading year to any other. You've got your low season and your high season, and it's very hard to understand that unless you've traded or worked in it. But it was really, really good, and I'm still in touch with them today. And finally, the UK. And sorry, lads, to the Welsh crew here. That's not the Welsh flag I'm putting up, but I worked in the UK up in the Lake region. That's a long, long time ago now. And it was probably my first bundling initiative that I was asked to do. I was working in Cardiff at the time. That's where I went to university, but I was working there a couple of years later. And I was asked, would I come up and help with an entity up there that were trying to do an experience development initiative? And that's exactly what we did. There are 4 different flags. There are 4 different regions. There are 3 different countries. Similar principles apply to the structure. Completely different offerings, right? And that's kind of what I like. And it's only when you dig deep you find the opportunities to encourage collaboration. I want you in the midst of all this to remember to utilize what ports past and present have developed, the resources that we always speak about at all the webinars. But I want you to really look at these. If you haven't done already, you need to, because if you don't use them, they're no good to you, right? It's the use you make of them. That's how you get a bit of benefit. You've got the films, you've got creative connections, and you've got the port stories. You've got the ports places. If people still haven't looked at these and they're confused about them, send me an email. We'll send the links and we'll make sure you get access to them. Please utilize them. They are professionally executed, funded, beautiful pieces of workmanship and creative skill. And I really, really want you to benefit from them. But again, you know they're there, but it's like bringing the horse to water. You got to drink the water to see the benefit, right? And honestly, you can use all this stuff in your own marketing, in your own development. And if you're doing collaborations, some of these resources can be hugely helpful and supportive without you putting your hand in your pocket. Okay. Well, let's look at the collaborate. So we're going to invite Kathy from Castlecomer Discovery Park, a mighty spot in Kilkenny, to tell us about her own experience with collaboration and tourism bundling. Kathy, I'll leave it over to you, and you can just let me know when you want to move the slides along, and I can do that for you.
Thanks, Mags. Thanks so much, and lovely to see everybody there today. Just to give you, in a way of just listening to Mags there, and I'm hearing really the story of the Discovery Park is actually a story of collaboration, really, because we're a not-for-profit social enterprise, and we were born out of really an economic need for hundreds and hundreds of years. Castlecomer, the little town where we are now, was defined by its coal mining industry. And we had a really strong coal mining industry for hundreds of years. Actually, we were importing coal to the big houses in England because the anthracite from here was so good. So it was a great industry we had. But then when it closed, it was a huge economic blow. And the town really did suffer for many, many years, and it would be considered a socioeconomic black spot for so long. And this is where a group of community activists came together with the idea of developing a tourism enterprise. And they started in the back of a pub, collaborating, talking, and the idea of the Discovery Park was born. But what they started with was they wanted to pay tribute to the coal mining history. So they started with a museum. Mags, you can move them along. I'm not sure what's on the slides there, but I'll just plow on. But yeah, so basically they started with the idea of developing a tourism entity that would pay tribute to the coal mining. And I suppose this is where the first piece of collaboration came, where they reached out to the local leader partnership for funding, but they were finding it difficult to actually get a space. So it's where then they actually made a partnership with a local private landowner, and he redeveloped the old stable yards of the Wandesford family. So that's where we're housed now, in a beautiful, atmospheric, old stable and farmyard of the Wandesford family, which was the local landlord in the area. And then we also partnered with Cuilcha to actually rent the land that we have now. So it all started with the coal mining museum, but I don't know if people have experience with museums. The museum did very well for a number of years, but it quickly became apparent that visitor numbers were going down and down and down. And this is where having a very strong board as well. We had a board of directors on the Discovery Park, and they kind of seen we have a problem here. Don't forget, we have no big major population area around us. So, you know, we're working really hard to get visitors to the museum, and just, I guess, the interest and whatever, it just was waning. So very quickly, the board decided to pivot, and they looked outside at the former pleasure gardens of the Wandesford family, which were then owned by the National Forestry Agency here, Cuilcha. And so we collaborated with them, made a license agreement with them, and we started developing an adventure offering. So now we have really what would be considered a world-class adventure offering. We have Ireland's longest zip wire. We have 2 ropes courses. We've just launched a new ropes course. Actually, you can see the picture there. It says Discovery Park. That's brand new. That's only been launched this year, and it's really world-class high ropes course. We have archery. We have lots of water activities like kayaking, canoeing, pedal boats. We have an education program. We have children's play areas, we have 2 on-site cafes, and of course we have the coal mining museum as well. And it's all located in a really stunning natural environment of woodlands and lakes. And I know you're on, and I feel like a real landlubber here because you're all on the coast there. But yeah, we're really, really proud of what we've built here. And it has been through collaboration, because obviously we're looking for funding all the time to build all this. So we've accessed a lot of capital infrastructure money through LEADER, through government funds. We've partnered with Fáilte Ireland, which is the national tourism agency here, and we're an accredited site on the Ireland's Ancient East programme. And so we've been successful. Now, I have to say, we've been successful, but it's been a hard road. It definitely hasn't been easy. We've got 1,200 people in Castlecomer. Kilkenny is nearby. It's got 25,000 people. You know, that's your biggest, you know, population. So it's taken a while to get people to come here, but we've really, I think we've turned a corner, and now, like Mags has 120,000 visitors. We actually in 2022 counted 155,000 visitors, and things are going in the right direction for us. But like so many tourism businesses, we are very seasonal. So we have really 2 good months to make all our money, and then maybe 2 months on either side of that, or the people are coming out because the weather is nice and all of that. And then the rest of the year, we're open as a park that people can walk in. We're open for bookings all year round. People can book in any day of the year. But it is definitely challenging when you have an overhead base and you really have to make all your money in a very short period of time. So that is where we started looking at schools. So we developed a very strong education offering, and we have a lot of schools now that come from April, and they come April to June, and then in the autumn we have from September, October, they come as well. But still, again, we were really looking, how do we extend our season? How do we develop our product portfolio? Because you're talking all the time, adventure, come to the Ireland's Longest Zip Wire, come to this, come to that. You know, it gets a bit samey. So what we really started looking at was the whole area of looking Oz.
Kathy, can you hear me? We'll just give her a minute, ladies and gents. Can everybody hear me? That's the main thing.
Yeah, I can hear you, Meg.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I could hear you. Yeah.
She might have dropped. She'll come back on. But I'm just going to interject there while we're waiting for Kathy to come back on. Like, what they've done is nothing short of miraculous, and they have actually extended their season by looking at bundling and looking at working in collaborative way with other businesses in the area. And one of those pieces was developed when we were doing the packaging with them. And it was it is actually a package that involves accommodation offering, food and beverage offering by different facilities around them in the locality, and they all came together and said, right, let's structure something here that is a little bit more positive and can help us perhaps extend our season, but also bring something new to the marketplace, because you have a lot of people coming into cities. They're exhausted from the same ding dong, right? And sometimes it's how you present what you're offering as well. It's, you know, you've got to put, one of the most important things when you're doing initiatives like this as well is to be objective and to put yourself into the visitor's shoes, right? I'm just going to check if there's any sign of Kathy there. Jenny, can you check? Give her a shout. Yeah, thanks. One of the things that's really important is to put yourself in the prospective visitor's shoes, right? What do they want right now? You know, they don't, they're not in, how would I say this? People have gone back more to basics. They want to be outside more. They want to you know, the simple stuff now matters a lot more. It's always mattered, but now it matters a lot more. And I think it's kind of like the wheel turning a little bit. Everything comes back all the time. And the technology piece and the innovation piece will always be there, but to look and see, like, are there people around you in your locality that you could actually be working with to create a different offering, a different experience that stands out for the right reasons? Right? You go on, and I'm going to use hotels and restaurants as an example, right? You go on to hotel websites and they have all these packages, right? But how, you know, put yourself in a say, for instance, a family's shoes. What's going to make them pick something off a website in one particular hotel than another one? One of the things that has come back again and again, and we've seen this both here in Ireland, but in the UK, in Sweden, in Belgium, in the States, where we've done all work like this, is they want a location experience. They're not just going to stay in the hotel and stay in the hotel 24/7. They want to do other stuff while they're there. Likewise, if they're going to the restaurant, they want a nice accommodation experience. Right? They want an activity, or they might want, it depends. They're also looking, there's a big craving now at the moment for alternative accommodation, right? And more outdoor activities. Okay, she's logging back on. That's good. Thanks, Jen. What can you do, and how can you work with someone else to build something like that? And every single person here who's in business can do this. Every single person. If you're employed by a business, or you're running a business, or you're on a board, doesn't matter. I run a business and I'm on 2 different boards. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can actually look at this. Like, I'm going to just pull Donnie in there for a minute, right? So Donnie, I'm going to connect you with Kathy after this. Because I see, and you mightn't think this in an obvious way, but I see a little bit of synergy there, because I know the site and I understand what you do as well, right? There's a little bit of synergy there to do something really cool and really, really a different kind of offering for people, for both of you, right? So it's about, and I will do that, Donnie, right? I'm going to, not putting the pressure on or anything, but I want people to kind of open their minds a little bit and how they can collaborate locally. Absolutely. It doesn't just have to be across the water. You can do this in your own location. But if you can do it across the water, that's a winner.
Yeah, definitely.
Chicken dinner.
What's your ideas, Mags?
Just now, this is just completely off the cuff, Donnie, which Jenny will testify to. A lot of stuff comes off the cuff with me, doesn't it? But it works, right? So it's simple stuff. Like, I think, because I know a lot about what Kathy does there, and I know the ethos behind what she does as well, I think it's worth a visit to see how your art, which is really, really unique, could marry in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like a sculpture garden area.
Something, yeah. I'm going to just bring Kathy back in there now. Owen, how are you?
I'm so sorry, guys. My internet dropped out.
That's okay. That happens. I'm going to go on mute again and I'll let you continue. I was just filling everybody in on, and I think there might be a bit of synergy for Donnie and you, Donnie Toots, and you to like meet up or connect maybe after this as well. So I'll share your contact details if you're both okay with that.
Sure,
yeah.
For sure.
I think there's a couple of other people here as well, Kathy, that might be worth connecting with. And there's other people in the room that definitely need to connect with each other in the form of possible collaboration. I'm not saying it will happen, but I do think it would be worth looking at. So I'm going to just stop speaking now for a moment and I'll let you.
And I don't know what's of interest to you guys, so I might just, take questions or whatever, because we have so much like stories. But basically I was saying that a conversation happened in the yard out here with a local guy who's a local forester. And we were talking about farmers, Irish farmers, and that there is a big issue with their personal well-being, the stresses of being a farmer now, with a lot of issues coming up and challenges. and that technically, you know, or traditionally, that they're quite socially isolated. So that was a conversation, and that's what Mags was saying earlier. You know, things take time to evolve, but you have to be talking to each other all the time, and talking to people, and going out and meeting people, and having crazy ideas, and seeing, you know, if you would have told me a year, 2 years ago, I'd be doing a well-being program for farmers at the Discovery Park, you know, I just, you know, it just wasn't on our radar. But now we've done three cohorts of farmers, focusing on them taking time out of their daily routine once a week to come and doing a whole series of well-being initiatives with us. And we kind of worked, and I'm being a bit sexist, but the majority of them, although we've had a good mix of male and female, they are a lot of men. And we kind of went on the premise that men talk shoulder to shoulder, whereas women talk face to face. So we interspersed the well-being program with a lot of mental health seminars, but also did traditional skills like dry stone wall building, live willow weaving, hedge laying, and linking that in with biodiversity, cap reform, and all of that. And now we have a number of really cool legacy pieces here. We have beautiful walls, beautiful willow domes, gorgeous hedges here, which are all kind of legacy pieces. So this is, and we also are getting paid for it. That was a EU project through the Department of Agriculture. So that is a really good income source for us in low season. So when Kilkenny Tourism came to us, and Mags was the person involved with that program, there was a whole initiative around developing unique experiences, something that is different, that can catch the marketing imagination, if you will. And like, for me, I'll be really honest, we're a volume business. We are making money when there's a lot of people here. It's a volume business. And so when the unique experience thing came up, I was thinking, yeah, it's really nice, but you know, it sounds like a lot of kind of work for small numbers, right? But in actual fact, I really saw the marketing opportunity of it. And we just thought completely outside the box in terms of a completely brand new offering. And this was called The Forest Journey. And it is linking in again and building on that theme of delivering wellness programs that people can engage with. So through dialogue with Mags and her team, which I found really useful in terms of pushing us to come up with something different. And, you know, because we can just say all day, we have Ireland's longest zip wire, we have ropes courses. As I said, it's all a bit samey, it gets lost. There's loads of places that have adventure offerings. So how do we stand out? So we came up with this wellness program, which is called the Forest Journey. And basically it's a mindful and meditation day. So we start the day with forest bathing, which is a fully clothed activity. So many people say, you know, what are we doing, jumping into a lake in the forest and running around naked or something? It's basically mindfulness, using the forest environment to do a morning of meditation. And in the morning, we have a trained facilitator that does the forest bathing, and we look at and we contemplate all the things that we want to consider, you know, where we are at in our lives, things that we want to let go of. And it's a whole mindfulness journey in the morning. And then we're collaborating with the local hotel then for lunch, and we're doing a whole kind of locally produced picnic lunch. So the hotel that is just around down in the town now, which is a new development that actually kind of was spun out of the development of the park, and I might talk about that later. And then in the afternoon, we are working with a local artist here. So her name is Dominika Stoppa, and she has she's an artist, and she does a program. It's Creative Mandala, but it's basically, we've renamed it Symbolage, where it's 2 hours of working with her and creating an art piece that you can take away, and it's a beautiful piece that you can frame and have in your home, which is all symbols of things that maybe you want to, that you've thought of in the morning, you want to let go of, and things you're hoping for in your future. And it's a whole creative sort of process of looking where you're at in your life and looking at where you want to go. And then the last part of the day is to actually take a jump off Ireland's longest zip wire, our zip wire, as a symbolic gesture of jumping into the future and embracing new opportunities. And we have coffee breaks and all that in there as well. So through the process, we've engaged more with the local hotel provider and the local artists working here, and hoping that, you know, this helps her sustainability as well. And we're just running it this year now, but already the interest has been so huge. And what is this? And it sounds so amazing, and we're very, very excited about it. And we know that we'll get into the papers. We know, because journalists, influencers, all of these people, they're looking for something different and new. And then we're hoping that we can collaborate further with the local hotel to make that an overnight package. And so that's just one example of Mags. I don't know, do you want to ask me any questions about that?
Sorry, I unmute myself there. Kathy, I have to say, every time to this day, when you say, like, take a leap of faith off a zip wire, I nearly get sick, because I have a husband who's a daredevil and a daughter who's something similar to her father. So when I go up to visit you this summer, I'll be keeping my feet firmly on the ground, my dear. But it's an example, I suppose, Kathy, of kind of engaging and being open, having the right mindset and being open to looking at something completely different that will hopefully extend your season. But as you rightly said, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, and it takes a season or two to kind of get its rhythm, do you know? And it's something that's definitely I love the piece about the farmers, because I live in a community of farmers, and can I tell you, on a good day, there's some of them could do with well-being, right? So it's, and I know I have a lot of family who are farmers, and it is a lonely spot. So that's kind of thinking outside the box, and it's something simple that, as you said, came out of a conversation. You know, this is not stuff that you have to look up in a book and learn how to do that way. This is all about engaging with people, having conversations with people. I heard something crazy at the weekend, and it's relative, but it's not to what I'm saying. I heard someone saying that we're going to have to show the generations coming up behind us how to engage with each other face to face, which is pretty frightening. Pretty frightening. But anyway, that's another story. But the one question I would like to ask you, Kathy, right, is how did you find, when you were, you know, open to working with other people and developing something, what was the real benefit for you?
Well, I suppose you're learning all the time, and the benefit for us was, well, we push, you know, as I said, for me, sometimes it's like, I need 1,000 people in here, and that's what I'm totally focused on. You know what I mean? And sometimes going down to something like this, you have to you have to put in the effort, and I'm so glad. I'm actually really proud of the package now, and I'm so glad.
Fair play to you.
And
Yeah.
now I'm working with a girl, Dominica, and my forest bathing girl, who are really good partners. Like, I know that forest bathing girl is amazing. I've been to her courses, I've tried them out. Same with Dominica, and they're really engaged. So I suppose partnering with people who are good partners is an important thing. Leader
And
have been. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go on. I was cutting across you there. Sorry, Rude. You
No, but
continue.
Leader I found very good as well with the farmer well-being program. Like, I would never have been able, that was a Department of Agriculture funded program, a very big fund, a very big fund. Now, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that myself. I wouldn't have had the resources to put in the application, to put a steering group together, to do all of that. So I find that, you know, having a good partner, let's say, and developing a very strong relationship with, let's say, someone like Leader has been hugely beneficial for me. And like, Leader just don't fund capital projects and different projects. They also are very much involved in SICAP, which is the social integration stuff, and there could be opportunities there. Another area that we collaborated on, which was our local education and training board. I don't know what the equivalent in Wales or whatever would be, but they also have funding programs for, let's say, industry. And through that funding program, we actually became Ireland's first certified IRCA training centre. And that is also now another income source for us. Before, in Ireland, IRCA is the European Ropes Course Association. And we accessed funding. We would probably maybe have thought twice about trying to go on the road of becoming certified, because it was quite expensive. And through that funding mechanism, we got a lot of it subsidized. And now, before, Irish people had to go to England, or they had to get European trainers in to teach people about high ropes and get the industry standard there. So now we've become Ireland's first certified training centre. And so now people can come to us, or we can go to them, and we can provide them with certified training in the tourism industry. And that's also an income source that we have now through collaboration.
Okay.
And
Okay,
that
Kathy,
collaboration
thank you for sharing
also,
that.
that collaboration also came from probably a network, Chamber of Commerce network thing that I went to, started talking to the girl, started telling her what we were doing here. She told me about this, but what we did start doing was we actually delivered training. We actually developed a tourism instructor, tourism training course for early school leavers, and we delivered that for them over 2 seasons, and they were really happy with us. So they got to know us as a partner, and we got to know them. So you were saying, but just knowing who you're, you know, there are lots of collaborations that you can see they're not going to go anywhere because the other party, you know, isn't as engaged. You know what I mean? So having a good partner is really important.
Yeah. And that's before we, and thanks Kathy for sharing that. I'm going to bring you back in later on when we're talking about fam trips, but and I also just want to make a reference. I'm going to go around to everybody and see, before we finish, and see where there might be opportunities in terms of giving you tips on what you could collaborate on, or how you can create more engagement in your own location, in your own business that you're working in, or you own and run yourself. Kathy, thank you so much for that. I'm still afraid of ropes though. High ropes in particular.
Actually.
But anyway, 1 second now. So I want you all, after listening to that, just to remember again, right, about the questions that I asked. Who would you like to collaborate with and work with? What would you like to collaborate on? Who are the key decision makers that you want to reach? Who could you know, positively influence and bring more footfall and business to your area? What do you think will engage more visitors to stay in your area, stay longer and spend in your business? What do you need to know how to do to commence or build upon quality collaboration in a positive and productive way? Now, FAM trips. So here's what a FAM trip is. FAM stands for familiarization. And I learned how to do these a long time ago. And I learned that I needed to do them if we were going to draw footfall into locations and properties I worked with. And a FAM trip is simply the development of an experience that you give key decision makers to come and experience what's on offer to them. And these are people like bookers, councils, training boards, societies, associations, right? To my mind, there's not enough of them done, to be honest. I find, I don't know what the story is in Wales, but I find in Ireland that they're just done at key times of the year and then they're parked. And they're done under because an umbrella organization is doing one, or it's the right time of the year, right? Familiarization trips. I'll give you an example, right? Before I worked for myself, the last role I had was I was working for a company. We managed all the corporate bookings for big multinationals and big entities. And I knew there was very few hotels in Ireland that didn't know me, right? Because they used to come to us and we used to do a rate parity thing every year. And it was a huge operation. And one thing I started doing when I started working with the company was doing familiarization trips. And the hoteliers in particular, because it was mostly hoteliers we were working, would fight like tooth and nail to get the gig, right? And they'd say, Megs, can we do a FAM trip? We'll put on all the bells and whistles. And then we brought our clients, who were the likes of Diageo, all the banks, big corporates. They were all being brought to the table, right? They had to be super impressed because you had key decision makers coming. And as I said to a hotelier a long time ago, and I know him well now, I said, we'll just call him Tom for talk's sake. I said, Tom, listen, the key decision makers are not the CEOs. You have to think who makes the bookings. They're the PAs, they're the executives, they're the sales teams, they're the marketing teams out on the road. And he said, okay. And I said, your modus operandi does not change. You still put on a good show and you still, you know, impress the socks off them. But they're not just looking for the hotel either. They're looking for a full experience, right? And that used to help, like it was up to them whether it went well or not. I would do all the back work and organize everything on my side. And because I had a tourism and hospitality background, I know the sector really well. So I know myself. I would check myself directly with the event managers and stuff on the hotel side. Is this done? Is that done? Is the other done? You know, I do room and list, things that your normal FAM trip organizer wouldn't do, right? But it was to make sure that it was executed to a fine art, right? To a level of excellence. So if you're doing FAM trips, I'm always a big believer in excellence, right? Do your level best. Put your best foot forward and your best face on every single time, whether it's your community you're showcasing, your historical society you're showcasing, your museums, your cafe, your hotel, your restaurant. It doesn't matter a damn. Put your best foot forward. So FAM trips are, in order to do them right, you have to limit the number of people that you invite, and you have to be very mindful about who's coming and who you want there as well. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just start off with some key questions around this, the FAM path, as I like to refer to it as. Okay, who do you want to showcase to? Who needs to see your facility, your area, your location, and your offering? Who needs to see it, right? Who needs to experience it? So for instance, if you're doing a creative Celtic initiative across the waters, first of all, you have to get everybody that you need on both sides of the water. And I'm just hypothetically throwing this out there. Everyone on both sides of the water to put their game on paper, get a plan together and decide what are we going to offer. But then you have to decide when that offering is sorted and squared away, who do you want to showcase it to? Who do you want to come and experience it? Then the second question, who do you have relationships with? Like, Kathy, I'm sure you'll agree with me, when you were dealing with the training boards, like it wasn't a question of them coming to you all the time. You had to go and ask the questions of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, you know, I heard this from, and not just in the tourism sector, I've heard it from other businesses that they say to me, sure, Megs, no one comes. But I said, do you ever ask them? Do you ever invite them? Isn't it nice to be invited? Right? Someone said to me recently, geez, Megs, you weren't at such and such. I wasn't asked to go. And I wasn't being smart with them. I was being honest, you know, and everyone's time is valuable. So look and see, who do you have relationships with already? What do they want? And what do their clients want? Okay. So I'll just give you a normal example, a personal example. We use a booker when we're going on holiday. It's not because they're expensive. It's not because they're cheap. It's because they will do the job right. I don't have time. We don't have a time because both myself and my husband are in very busy jobs. And it's trying to get that time, and then between carting people to matches and horse riding and all the privilege of being a parent entails as well. You know, but I use them because they asked me if they could actually give, you know, to think of them. They asked the question. They're based in Kilkenny, actually, Kathy. Really, really good outfit, and they're reasonable. But they asked me, Megs, will you think of us if you're booking a holiday? I used them once, and I'll always use them now. Right? So and I wouldn't have known about them or had that if they hadn't asked me and shown me what they could do and what they could save me. Not in money, not just in money, but in terms of my time as well, right? So think about it from your own perspective. Who could you ask to come and experience? Who haven't you asked? And some people would say to me, oh, geez, I can't ask them. Why can't you? Everybody has 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. We're all human beings. That's all we are, okay? What can you offer as a destination? As a full destination, what can you offer? Right? We were involved in an event, a national event recently, and I was brought on to do event consultancy. I was an event manager, a national event manager years and years ago. It's tough work. I couldn't do it now. Physically wouldn't be able to, but I do consultancy. And they had a bog standard, just an event outline. It was a really good outline, but I said, hold on a minute, now you have 7 ambassadors coming. What can you do here? How can you showcase your area to the max by doing simple things, right? So look and see, what can you offer as a destination? And give people a full experience. Who wants to collaborate? Not everybody will want to collaborate. And some of you here may not be wanting to collaborate, and that is absolutely okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But look at who wants to collaborate if you are open to it. And who could you ask to collaborate? Okay. What needs to happen to showcase for success? What do you think needs to happen to showcase for success? And here is something that I always do. If I'm going to do a site assessment or I'm going down to meet a business for the first time, I look at the business and the location from the outside in, not from the inside out, from the outside in. What needs to happen? Does a spot need a lick of paint? Simple things, and you might laugh at that, but you have to remember that your first impressions start from the outside in. You pull up to a cafe or a museum or a lighthouse or a hotel or an activity center, and if it looks shabby on the outside, it ain't a good indication of what it's going to be like on the inside. Perception. Okay, so what do you think needs to happen to showcase for success? So I'm going to say those questions again. Who do you want to showcase to? Who do you have relationships with? Are you involved with chambers of commerce? Are you involved with different sporting bodies and associations? Do you have connections? Do you have relationships there? What do they want? What do their clients want? What tour operators do you know? Okay. What can you offer as a destination? Who wants to collaborate? Who's open to it? Who has a similar mindset to you? Okay. What needs to happen to showcase for success? Johnstown Castle. Owen, I see you there this morning. How are you?
Hi, Mag. Nice to meet you. I
Me
finally got
too.
the time to join up.
That's all right. That's all right. Lovely to have you. Lovely to have someone in Wexford on here. Johnstown Castle, ladies and gents, if you haven't been there, especially on the Welsh side, if you get a chance to come over here, go and see it. It's beautiful. It's one of my favourite spots on because it clears the count for me. Walks the legs off the dogs and the child, so happy days. But it's a beautiful, beautiful setting, right? Owen, what would you like to do if you were collaborating with, what benefit do you feel you need if you were to collaborate with other business owners?
It's kind of, for us, it was 2021 was a busy year, and 2022 was a lot of what Cathy was saying with Castlecomer was kind of resonating with myself, that we had a lot of similar numbers. We're a not-for-profit organization, so it's about connecting with the local community more so for us.
Yeah.
We had about 150-ish thousand visitors, 155,000 visitors last year, so it was a good year, but again, we want to kind of grow on that, and we want to offer more to our locals really. It's just making connections again with the hotels. I've kind of put in the chat there with Marie kind of for Whites and things like that, just connecting with the local hotels and kind of bringing them out to see it, because a lot of people that do stay with them, it's about the connection. We're kind of trying to get in with the Rosslare Europort and kind of Stenline Irish Ferries is obviously the big connection from there. And then with the kind of the Welsh side, if there's group tours coming over and things like that, that's what we're really looking to, not just to bypass ourselves, Kilkenny, and go straight to the west. It's kind of trying to keep people in the local region, because we do see a lot of groups that they come over, they go to Dublin, they go straight across, they miss the southeast completely and go straight across to the west and Kerry and Cork. And we're just trying to keep as many people in the southeast and Leinster as possible, really, which is trying to get our name out there.
Okay, so I'm going to throw something at you now, right, Owen? Again, off the top of my head, right? So Marie, I know Marie. So Marie, yourself and Cathy need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I could be setting a cat among the pigeons, lads, but you gotta have a chat, right? And you know what? It's not sales. It's all about having conversations. I always say that to people. It's having the chat, lads. It's having the chat. Cup of tea and a chat. How bad, right? And there's not anyone I know that doesn't like doing either of those two things, right? I'm a bit of a tea addict here, and it has to be Barry's if anyone's interested. However, like I do feel, Owen, you, Cathy, and Marie could do something.
Yeah, I was thinking that, like, we're always trying to recommend, because we're a Falls Ireland kind of destination, we're always trying to recommend places within the locality and within the surrounding counties to go to. Once they visited us, they can come up and they can ask us where to go. And we do say Kilkenny a lot of time, but it's kind of about recommending different places in the locality and where to stay and where to eat food and things like that, and to keep people in Wexford and in the southeast. So it's be great to have a chat to you guys.
And I'm also going to throw two more things at you now, lads. I think Peter Krause needs to talk to you as well, and you need to talk to him. You'll find out more about Peter's offering and what he does over there on the Welsh side. I think there's a bit of synergy there, and I think Donnie Toots needs to talk to both Owen and Cathy. All right, and I'm thinking now, Owen, because I know Johnstown really, really well, and I know the space really well, and I know the history really well. So the space is what you need to talk to Donnie about. The history is what you could talk to Peter about. I think there's something nice there that, you know, look at, I think I don't have the time to sit down and go through all that with you, but I think there is definitely, I have ideas here in my head now, but I think there's definitely synergy there. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And thanks, Owen, for me pouncing on you there like that. Apologies.
No problem.
Okay, because I want everyone to get something, and Marie, I think the Castlecomer and Johnstown Castle could be a nice one. If you were to build maybe something like a Southeast experience, with a little bit of like everything in it for everybody. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And I suppose from our point of view as well, where we're trying to build a little bit is in terms of corporates and big conferences and that sort of thing. It's why should they come to Wexford? And we're trying to build a relationship with the likes of Johnstown Castle, like team building providers, that sort of thing, so that our corporates will stay in the area for longer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I suppose as well, Marie, right? One thing that, and I know because I have been in that situation, right? But I always said to my team when I was in hotels, lads, corporates are grand, but they're people as well, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. When you get them in, you want to make an impression that they might come back with their family. They might come back with their wives or girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, right? So that's good. That's good, Marie. Okay.
Just kind of jumping in there, Mag, just one second. Marie, with the team building, we have just opened. I was going to email this afternoon, but I'll probably.
I see your message there. Yeah.
And we've just opened a section of the castle that hasn't been open to public, and it's kind of, we're looking at team building events and things like that for the grounds as well. So that may be something we can just connect
Amazing.
with.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, pop me through an email this evening and we'll.
Yeah, no problem, Marie. Thank you.
Perfect.
Kathy, you had your hand up there.
Yeah, just with Owen there, if he is interested, we can do traveling team building stuff.
Yeah.
So we have a, you know, just, I know you probably have a provider or whatever, but if you are interested, we do, we can go to you and develop, we can deliver team building stuff on outside team building stuff, if you're interested.
And also on the Welsh side, lads, I think Peter Krause and James, I'm not sure, James, what exactly you do yourself, because I know it's your first time on. Can you tell me there a little bit?
Yeah, let me just quickly come on. So that was a fascinating conversation. As the son of an Irishman, I love this talk across the Irish Sea.
Great.
So so as a family, we moved to Fishguard only 6 months ago, and I've started working with Jeremy Martineau only 2 months ago. And the thing that really interests me is what Jeremy's doing around the pilgrimages.
Yeah.
And the idea is Wexford,
that's
across
right,
the water to St David's. And my sister, back to your mental health thing, my sister Emma and I are going to go on a pilgrimage from Wexford to St David's.
Brilliant.
So I'd be very interested, Ewan, to have a chat with you about Johnstown Castle, because from what I understand from Jeremy, that the bit from Rosslare up to Wexford hasn't been fully developed, and what we're planning to do, if we get this, particularly if we get this grant, a levelling up grant, which we'll know next month, is to develop the inland path to St David's from Fishguard. So there must be huge opportunity to develop packages for the Welsh and the Irish diaspora.
And I think as well, James, I think like Peter, it might be worth having a chat with the lads as well from your point of view, and Barry Hillier, because you're all in similar realms but have different unique histories there, right? The two things I would say to you about building, and I'm very familiar with the pilgrimage piece, James. The two things that I would say to you is, number one, build something that will definitely engage the diaspora, but also funk up the history piece a little bit. Because when people look to the history offering, I love history. I absolutely love it. It was one of my favorite subjects in school, and there weren't many that were my favorite subjects, but I loved history. And like, it's not attractive. It's not made attractive to everybody. You guys probably do make it attractive, but I'm just saying from my perspective, when I'm looking at stuff, like I love looking at history when I'm away, but it's kind of what entices you in, you know, what will bring somebody in the door, or as my father used to say, in the gap to you. How will you get someone in the gap, right? And just look at that. But I do think Barry Hillier, who's not here this morning, but he's a really good man when it comes to this stuff. Barry, Owen, Peter Crow, I think all of you actually, I think Marie, you could have something here as well. Like, you need to look and see, is there something you could build? And Kathy, you have a lot of history attached to Castlecomer. A really good history, because when I met you first online, when we started, the one thing I did was I went in and I ate the history on Castlecomer. And actually recently last night, we found out more history about my mother's family that we didn't realize. And Ma'am sent it to me, and it's after opening up more stuff, because I love all that. But it's to make it funky and engaging and attractive. That's the word, attractive to people. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to keep going because otherwise I'm way over time, but however. Okay, so the 10, sorry now. The 10 FAM steps for success, right? Define and confirm your offer for the FAM group, entity, or individual. Who should be a FAM guest, right? So define and confirm your offer. If it's a bunch of corporate bookers, then Marie, you'll know all about this. Says she, I do only too well. You have to decide, okay, what do they want? They want Wi-Fi, they want really nice rooms, they want nice food, they want early checkout, possibly. They want, I don't know if newspapers are after being brought back into the hotels. I love to see them coming back, because I love a newspaper when I'm away on my own, because I don't look like Billy No Mates, sitting at the table in the restaurant at night eating my dinner. So like, what do they actually want? If it's a sports entity and it's sporting groups you're going to attract, what do they want? They want good food, healthy food now. They want access to the gym. They want showers that actually work, right? Are they going to be working out? Will they need ice buckets? All this kind of stuff, right? That's just an example of 2 different types of people. If there's someone coming to you, Kathy, are you looking at corporates? Are they looking at team building? Getting your team building offering, having a mock-up of it, all that kind of stuff done, right? Who should be a FAM guest? Who do you think should be a FAM guest? The person who influences the booking decisions, right? Or from a society, if it's social, if they're looking after the social and events side of things, right? If it's a tour booker online, if it's a third-party booking agent, I'm not a fan of them. I used to work for one of them, but I'm not a fan of them because they take so much commission off you as an entity, and I think it's not fair, the level they've gone to. In terms of your space, Peter, if you have history groups coming to you, what's going to make them come to you? How easy is it for them to contact you and book you for a group? Can you do a price for that group? Can you give them a full experience? Can you work with a local coffee shop or a local restaurant to provide them with a full experience while they're there? Can you work with a tour guide to show them the area? Those kind of little things. That's part of the FAM trip, because you get one shot to make that impression and you use it. Invite and collateral to support. Why should they visit? Tell them. Don't assume that they know. Okay. The real-time systems for successful delivery of the offer or package. What tech do you need to allow for bookings online? To allow for someone, a human, to answer the phone. One of the biggest pains in my life at the moment is you can't get in touch with a human being now when you're ringing a bank. It's just not possible. Insurance company, same thing, right? There are certain groups of hotels that we work with, and I always do an exercise. I ring them to see how long it's going to take to answer the phone. And if I'm making a booking, you get one chance, and that's it, I'm moving on. Right? So, because you don't dismiss the need for having somebody there to speak to somebody. People still like to deal with people. Okay, support and sales. What support and sales is needed? What support do you need to execute the FAM trip to the best of your ability? Confirm who will be involved and contribute to the FAM delivery. So who's going to be involved? what people in your area. So Peter, for example, if you did one of these in conjunction with other providers in a collaborative way, who would be involved and who could contribute? So do you have a nice coffee shop? Do you have a tour guide you could work with? Do you have the best historian inside there to tell them the whys and the background and everything to your location? Confirm your date and timelines for prep. Work back or work ahead of yourself, right? What is your key selling point as a location, as a business, and as a destination? Why should people come here? Owen, what's the key selling point for Johnstown Castle?
The castle itself, probably. But a lot of people, there's obviously, we're a 3-in-1 attractions. We have the castle, we have the gardens, we have the agriculture museum as well. So there's kind of 3 separate areas to it.
So there's one, and there's sorry for interrupting you because I'm just conscious of time on. There's 4 actually, right? Because you've got your grounds as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's your KSP, there's your key selling point, right? Peter, what's your key selling point?
The maritime history of Pembroke Dock itself, and there's just so much of it as well. And like we do events all the time at the moment as well now to try and encourage tourists to come. But
Good.
my most important issue now is to make sure we have a massive link with Ireland and all the tourism industries in Pembrokeshire and Holyhead and everywhere else as well.
Okay,
If we
good.
communicate amongst ourselves, I'm sure we'll make this a whole new enterprise as well. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm explosive. I'm so enthusiastic in what I do. And I want to just pass it all on to the younger generation. The younger generation, unfortunately, are just not interested in helping down the boatyard, for example. We are from the age of 60 years of age to 93. I want to try and involve youngsters in that field as well. And in our specialized industry with restoring boats, obviously it could help youngsters as well. So this is what I look into as well. But
okay, lots of ideas there, Peter, actually off the top of my head. Because we've one thing in common with regard to what you just said. I love boats, first of all, but also I love helping youngsters reach their full potential. And I go into schools and I speak to students when and if I have the time from disadvantaged areas. So I think there's definitely something there. Definitely something there.
I'm
Thanks for sharing
talks
that.
at the moment now to the WI. I got 3 talks with them, and I got one with the Rotary in Saundersfoot now on the 24th of April. So look out.
Yeah, this man used to be the mayor.
Oh yeah.
in his home in Pembrokeshire, so he's quite an experienced gent. Thanks for sharing that, Peter. Tracking success. You have to track success. There's no point in doing anything, any marketing initiative, any sales initiative, any events, any fam trips, any collaborations, unless you track the success. And it's not always the obvious success. Like going back to what Kathy said there. And I remember when I met you first, Kathy, and you were looking at it going, well, Mags, it's about numbers here. And I get that completely. But it was about the marketing in the end and the awareness and the exposure and standing out from the noise of everything that's out there at the moment. So track your success, not just online, lads, not just online, offline as well. We're falling into, or we're in danger of falling into this place where everything has to be online now. There's always an offline. Remember, it's going nowhere. Okay. Magic media and marketing that engages the ideal visitors and audience. Is your marketing working? And if it's not, why isn't it? And what will make it better? So these are the 10 steps. Now, after this, we're going to send on a FAM path file, right, to everybody, and some collaborative pieces as well for you to look at and reference. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gone way over time, for which I apologize, but I'm not surprised. Okay. So I want you to consider, what are you going to do next? So Owen, what are you going to do next?
Definitely talk to Marie and definitely talk with Kathy about a couple of things that were that kind of I wasn't thinking of, but obviously this is the reason for we're doing this and thinking of ideas that were outside the box, more from my point of view, and what we can do together and collaborating from that point of view. So it's kind of exciting from this point of view. I have a couple of emails ready to go on this end, so see what we can do from there.
Perfect. Now, while this is about sales and marketing and livelihood and all the numbers and all that jazz stuff we deal with every day of the week, don't lose sight of the fact that if you don't get an immediate sale, it's not the end of the world. And please, I swear to God, I actually cringe when I see people going into things and going, and I know myself because I've had dozens of sales teams that I've managed over the years, and I look at them, and the worst salespeople, the worst people in sales are the ones that want it now, yesterday.
It's more so
Hungry.
ideas for
Hard
myself.
sell. Yeah, no, I know that, Owen. I completely get that. You're not that type of candidate, but like, they're the people that don't succeed in it in a sustainable way. So start looking at how you're thinking about it. And you guys have it already, right? So I'm speaking to the converted. Owen, I think you should really talk to Peter as well, and Barry Hillier, who is not here, but he looks after Holyhead Museum. I think there's a history piece there, and Kathy. So if you had 2 from the Welsh side and 2 from the Irish side, there could be a little experience built there, to be honest with you. And James as well, and Jeremy.
It'd be great to work together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, we get on well in the rugby, so sure. Even when we beat each other, we still have the crack. So, and Marie, I think you need to talk to Kathy, absolutely, and you're already talking to Owen, but also touch base with Peter and Barry and Jeremy as well. There's definitely, and Donnie, you have something really, really different, and I love it. And I think you've 2 things: you've energy, and you've got really beautiful. What? What did you say?
Petra, and Petra and I are going to come over to Ireland next week. So we're going to be knocking on your doors to say hi, put the kettle on. We want to hang out with you.
Well, the kettle is always on here. We had a text this morning from a client. He's in the agri sector.
And Owen and anyone who's over that side of the water, we're just going to be saying, well, we're on your doorstep. We're on our way.
Good.
I'll
We'll
give
do
you all
that.
the support I can, Donnie.
Just lovely. It's so important. It's so important to have a face-to-face relationship. You are bang on with all this, Mags. There's no other way really about it. I think the other way was a big 80s, 90s way of doing work with different time now.
Got to think outside the box.
And we're all to work together, and that's how we all grow, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Donnie, I'm going to put you in touch with my brother in Limerick as well, because he's an artist. But
I checked him out, actually. I did friend him.
Yeah, he doesn't like the commercial aspect of art, but he lectures in the College of Art and Design in Limerick, so I'll connect you with him as well.
Yeah.
Because he saw your stuff and he loved it. So
Really?
and he's a sculptor, so he might be able, because he's well connected down there. He knows everybody, so it would be good maybe to open doors for you as well.
Oh, absolutely fantastic.
No, absolutely, Marie.
And I should say, even if it's not now, you don't know these things. They just germinate, and they take time, and then people who know people, and then it starts to weave.
Absolutely. And you know, my husband laughs when we go anywhere. He always says to me, or he says to other people, "'Tisn't 6 degrees with her tall, 'tis 2 or 3." And it's just that, I suppose, you just make connections. My head is built like that. But I'm also passionate as well. I suppose that's a good and a bad thing, double-edged sword. Marie, I think there's definitely opportunity there for you to build something completely different with the hotel. Una is there in Celtic Roots. Would you like to add anything, Una? She might have.
I'll just try and unmute myself here quickly.
That's okay.
I'm having great fun here with WEFO at the moment. A lot of you will know WEFO. They're sending me emails like there's no tomorrow here this morning while I'm trying to listen to you. While I've been listening this morning, there's a few things that I'd like to bring up. First of all, I know Ports is one of 5 tourism projects within the Ireland Wales Fund at the moment. Now we all know Ireland Wales Fund is leaving, so we need to collaborate even more, I think, to keep ourselves going. I think it's more important now than it ever was. And please remember that there are another 4 different Ireland Wales projects. So say for instance, for the Celtic Roots, on our website, celticroots.info, you have the possibility to take a look at the Celtic Experience collection. When you go into that, you'll find almost 100 businesses in Ireland and in Wales that are ready and open and willing to collaborate and do learning journeys. We in Celtic Roots didn't really take up the opportunity to do FAM visits or FAM journeys. We did learning journeys, which were a lot more business related, as in we had not just viewing the actual tourism project or product itself. It was more a case of, right, we have this red tape business. How did you get around it? And it was businesses talking to businesses about their business, as opposed to, you know, the technicalities of their business, like, you know, how much was your insurance costing? How did you get around this problem? How did you get around that problem? All those different ideas. And from that, I've noticed, especially on social media, I've noticed that all those that came over from Wales are now following and sharing the social media content from the businesses they visited here in Ireland, and vice versa. They don't have to create a huge amount of content. All they're doing is sharing, which is absolutely fantastic. It keeps their social media feed alive, and it shows that they are collaborating. The next thing I said, one of the first things you said, Mags, was about there's a huge pie. I think we have the ingredients to make an even bigger pie between all the Ireland Wales projects that we have going. We definitely have the ingredients to make probably a Guinness World Record pie with the products that we have. You were speaking about artists. One thing that came to mind, Ancient Connections, the project between Ferns and St. David's. They have an exhibition in County Hall at the moment with visiting artists. Now, even if you just click onto their website, you'll find all those artists that are ready, willing and able, again, to collaborate, show their works and show the connections between Ireland and Wales. Yeah, that was really about it now. The learning journeys I still think are absolutely fantastic, even though they're not the FAM trips that you're speaking about. They are and they're not. We're more, you know, discussing how to solve problems, but they are still getting a good look at what the product is and the links between all of them. One minor issue that we did have with the learning journeys was people do get caught up in other things. It was the week after St. Patrick's Day. So one of our businesses was just completely burnt out, and he just could not cope with a group of 12 or 15 of us all coming to the one spot in on top of him. So you do have to go with the flow and rearrange at short notice. But, you know, he could have been at a funeral either, you know, so you do have to make allowances for people and think on your feet. And that's where good collaboration comes into action, because you can always flip to another business close by that would be either similar or complementary.
Thanks
I
for
think
that.
that was my take so far.
That's good, thank you.
Between trying to get WEFO off my back.
That's okay. Good luck with that. And I think as well, like this is our last webinar series of 5 or 6 now that we've done. And if you need more education around pieces, like reach out, you know, ask. What's the worst that can happen? No. But just ask for help. I also want to just ask Danielle if she's there. Danielle, can you hear me, or Claire?
Hi everyone.
Hi Claire, how are you?
For those who don't know me, I'm just a researcher on the Ports Past and Present project. So
She's not just a researcher now. Go on, go air that.
Thanks, Mags. That was brilliant, and thanks everyone for coming. It's so nice to see already some connections being made, and it just feels really exciting, actually.
Yeah,
So I'm well aware that this is the last session that Mags will be delivering. So we've just put together a LinkedIn group that everyone can join. So I can send that link round now.
yeah, do that.
And you're all more than welcome to just to join in.
We will be facilitating the next network meeting, and we'll send out a reminder for the date of that as well. All the webinars that have been delivered so far are loaded up on the website, and we'll share that with everybody as well, so that you can listen to it at your own ease, which is what a lot of people have chosen to do. And I'm also mindful as well that for a lot of you, we're entering the hot and heavy season. And it's not going to be, it's not going to be possible to attend all the network meetings, but I would encourage you to attend the next one before things go absolutely cracked for the season ahead, hopefully, and just make those connections and be reminded of who's there for you. And if we can help you at all, just reach out. There's no issue. Claire, thanks for that. That LinkedIn group, lads, I think you should all definitely connect on that. It's a really good piece of work that you've set that up, Claire. That's good.
Well, that was Danielle's magical abilities. Yeah. And the other thing, so do you have a date for the next network meeting?
Just have a look at the calendar there now. The 27th, provisionally.
Okay, well, I think we'll have a look at that, because we've just been talking about, we're having a meeting next week to discuss tourism and the future of the tourism network and all that kind of stuff. And what we want to do at the next network meeting is to feed back what people come up with, what comes out of that meeting. So it would be great if everyone could turn up to that, because I think it would be really useful, and I think it will help us to focus ourselves and where we go to next and what we aim for and all that kind of thing.
Perfect. That's perfect. So we will look at that. You can come back to us on that, Claire, and let us know what will work best. And all that's left for me to say now is good luck. Happy Monday. And we'll send on the follow-up support piece, and don't forget that any of you that haven't registered, I know Owen, you're one of them, if there's anyone else here that hasn't registered on the network, we'll send through the EOI, the expression of interest. You just fill that out. There's no fee, just fill it out, and we will confirm your membership then. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, thanks again, Mag.
You're very welcome, Peter.
Thank you. I'm going to make a move now, because I'm required in the boatyard.
Me too. A man looking for a cup of tea has arrived into our office, so I may go.
Let's hope one day we can all meet up.
Yes, that'd be lovely. That'd be lovely. All right, guys, have a good week ahead, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you very much. You too.
All right,
Bye-bye now.